I probably need a knife. Just in case.
All right, good evening, everybody. We'll get started here in just about a minute.
So do they take grilled cheese when you go camping?
Sometimes
That
we
sounds
do.
delicious.
Got one of those grilled cheese makers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, well, I think we'll go ahead and start. And then as people join, we will let them in to enjoy tonight's cooking demonstration. So my name is Janet Kamuri. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness at the Indianapolis Urban League. And this is our fourth cooking demonstration in partnership with American Dairy Association of Indiana. And tonight, our special guest is Kathy Jones, the executive chef at Second Helping. So I will go ahead and turn this over to our wonderful chefs for the evening, and they will introduce what we will be cooking tonight.
Thanks, Janet. This is Michelle Plummer, and I'm with the American Dairy Association, and I am really excited to be with Kathy. I've been with Second Helpings a long time, and I'm a big fan. But more importantly, we have a really unique connection, and it's coming up in August. So I'm going to show you how we start.
Perfect.
Kathy can give us a little bit of bio why I'm working on this. These are ends, so we're going to pitch those.
We're going to keep those.
We're going to keep.
We're going to keep those because we use
more?
everything at Second Helpings. Perfect. Look at that. I have been a friend of Second Helpings for about, a little over 23 years, and that's about how long it's been around.
Yes.
And as a volunteer, as a guest instructor with CJT, participating in all their events.
CJT?
CJT is our culinary job training program. So we have guest instructors come in. Prior to pandemic, we had them coming quite often. So I was a friend of that, and always kind of been my dream job to work at Second Helpings. And the stars aligned about 4 years ago, and I am the executive chef, so I oversee everything culinary at Second Helpings, all of the hunger relief, the culinary job training. So yeah, it's a great job. It's a great job.
Wow. Well, I get the privilege of doing everything like that in the month of August for 17 days. So we open up the dairy bar and we serve thousands of grilled cheese and milkshakes and cheese sticks. So how you and I connect are with the grilled cheese.
Absolutely.
So like we were showing you, we roll the butter on the bread because that seems to be a big thing for people. So we've got the butter, we've got our American cheese. We source everything locally. So that's a really nice thing about the dairy. We use real butter. And then we make these great grilled cheese.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of funny. I'll just call out Josh. We're talking here just a minute ago, and he gave me a really big compliment that I was exactly on the money. At the end of the fair, every year, there were no sandwiches. What happens to my sandwiches? They go to Second Helpings.
Right.
And so the question is, what do you do with a whole lot of grilled cheese?
Well, everybody's excited at the end of the fair when Michelle comes and brings the grilled cheese. We have so many partner agencies that are happy just to take the grilled cheese. We'll send the grilled cheese out and they'll grill them. Sometimes we cook them, but a lot of times we'll take those grilled cheese sandwiches and we'll make casseroles out of them.
What kind of casseroles?
So we'll do savory casseroles. We'll do a nice breakfast casserole. We've done that. We've done mostly the breakfast and the savory, where we're just putting a little bit of custard in there, and we put all kinds of things with it.
Like ice cream custard, because that's what I sell
So
No.
it's not quite as sweet.
Okay.
We don't put any sugar in it. We don't put any vanilla in it. So we're, although I don't know, we might try that.
Hey.
You never know. That might be fun.
We can always ship it over there because
But-
I'm not that good, Josh.
Yeah, but we truly appreciate the partnership we have with you guys. I mean, you have never let us down. Everything we when the pandemic started, we were like, hey, what are we going to do if we don't have this stuff? And I know Nora has called you and you have always been there to rescue us. So we truly appreciate that. But these grilled cheese, I mean, everybody gets excited. And usually you have quite a bit that you can send to us. So even the partner agencies, the ones that like just the sandwiches, they get so excited about that. We just send them out to them and
Perfect.
yeah.
So tonight we're talking with Urban League because they've been doing the food boxes and they've been doing food donations. What happens with second helpings in Urban League? Because tonight's the topic is leftovers.
Right.
And we have 2 grilled cheese, one for you and one for me. That's plenty.
Right.
But if I have a big tub of this full, now what do we do?
So you can freeze your cheese. You can make grilled cheese sandwiches. You can freeze your grilled cheese sandwiches. You can take and make the casseroles, like which we're going to make later this evening, and freeze that. Split it into 2. There's all kinds of things we can do with leftovers. Now, I'm not talking about you've had a piece of pizza like we talked about earlier, you take a bite out of it. No, but if you have good food that's left over, there's so much that you can do with it. And that's what we do basically every day at Second Helpings. We have people's leftovers that they donate to us, and we figure out how we're going to make those meals that are going to go out to, we're almost over 100 partner agencies that we send stuff to.
Well, what would be a leftover that you would receive? Who would you get that from, or where?
So a lot of times we'll get leftovers from some of the big hotels. If they've had an event in town, like a few weeks ago, we had the Final Four. So it's good food that has never been, they've prepped it up, it's been sitting in their cooler and they've never used it. It's never gone out to the public. And that is wonderful leftovers that we can take and repurpose that, for lack of a better word. Sometimes it comes in and it's great. We'll get steaks and asparagus and a variety of different stuff. And we'll go ahead and we'll make what we call prep pans. So it may not go into a casserole. We may put, 25 pieces of steak and enough asparagus and some potatoes, and that will go out for a meal. Other things, chicken will come in. We'll dice it up. We'll put that in what we call a tilt skillet, which is just a huge one of these, basically. And we'll mix that with, depending, maybe we'll make a chicken macaroni and cheese. Maybe we'll do a chicken spaghetti or a cordon bleu. So we take that and we'll turn that in a tilt, which will make about 600 meals.
How many meals do you serve a day?
We're right at 4,000 a day.
Wow.
Yeah, right at 4,000 a day.
So Janet, who's on the call, and she's worked with us for the last few months, and we've shown up to give out milk at the food at Urban Links. We've gone at that, but then we have these bags that say Second Helpings on that. What's in that bag?
So we do a couple of different things. We do some sandwiches. We also do what we call our family style grab and goes. And those are designed to go home, pop them in the microwave, or take them out, throw them in the oven, whatever is easiest. And that will feed a family of 4. And then they can supplement that if they want with different things. But I think right now we're sending Urban League about 800 of those grab and goes once a week. So
then you've got Urban League,
right?
You've got Second Helpings. Where else are you? What other agencies or groups are you cooking for that 6,000 meals?
I mean, we serve boys and girls clubs. We serve a lot of senior centers, after school programs, a lot of the senior apartments now. We've actually found through the pandemic there were a lot of people that have always needed meals that we happened to find out during the pandemic that these people
Oh.
weren't being reached by any of us, by anybody in the Indie Hunger Network. And we all came together and we decided, you know what, going forward, we're going to continue to serve that population. So there's a lot of places that are new to us that because we didn't realize they were out there. So we're actually reaching more people now.
So I know that you have the one location. Then is there also an annex? I mean, how do you make all this food?
Right.
That's insane.
So there's absolutely no way we could make all of this ourselves at Second Helpings.
Okay.
For a number of reasons. Number one, we have to social distance. Number two, we are a volunteer organization and the volunteers outnumber us, 2.5 to 1, usually on a daily basis. Well, our core volunteer were in that age group that were affected. And we didn't want them coming in. We needed to be safe. We needed to keep them safe. And so we said to them, stay home till you're comfortable to come in here. So numbers increased, volunteer hours went down. The National Guard helped us quite a bit.
Oh, wonderful.
When it first started. And then we just said, hey, we've got some friends we have a lot of friends in the restaurant industry. And maybe we could find a way for them to keep some of their employees and they could make our food for us.
Okay.
So we actually set up agencies that we would send out. We'd meet with or via email or phone with the different kitchens that are helping us out. We have Psalms, we have Nesso, we have Side Street Catering. They're all helping us out. So we coordinate with them and they actually send out some of those meals for us. I think they're sending out right now probably about 14,000 of those meals a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so then I have to wonder, the restaurants are closed, a lot of them.
Right.
The food's not going out like at Cisco or anywhere. How are you getting your food? Where are you getting your food?
People have been so generous to us. We started out thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to get this influx of food and then it's going to be gone because everything's closed. And that's not what happened. The community has been so generous to us. We get food from all kinds of grocery stores, from retailers, wholesalers, all kinds of, Kroger, US Foods, Cisco, McFarling Foods, Whole Foods, Trader
the
Joe's.
heels.
Oh, there you go. And that's going to be really good. You got that burnt cheese. That's going to be tasty in there.
See, really, I guess we don't ever make a mistake, even if it's burnt.
Never. So
good to know now.
Yeah, that's perfect. So there's restaurants that sell burnt cheeseburgers and they get extra money for that. So
hey, new sandwich for the state fair.
There
You
you
heard
go.
it here.
I'm going to sneak over here and check mine real quick.
While Kathy's looking at hers, before you all got here, bread puddings take about an hour to bake. So what we did was we made a representation, a fresh one. Mine has peas and carrots with the grilled cheese, just like we're doing here. I added some Dijon mustard, some thyme, and some red pepper. And this is, yes, we gave you a recipe, but the other side of this is that it's just what you have on hand. So you need a couple of eggs for every cup of milk. Add the seasonings that you like. Pour the mixture over, and you want to get into the nooks and crannies. And if it needs some help, you're going to just smush, a truly technical term.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to add my peas and carrots on top. If you don't like peas and carrots, add any other vegetable you want. You could add tomatoes. You could add anything that you have. So that was one of the fun things when I started at Second Helpings.
Right.
Recipes don't look like the recipes that we gave them.
Absolutely not.
So what do your recipes look like? Because I'm sure you always have exactly everything, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay.
Absolutely not. We never know from day to day what we're going to have. I've got a good idea what's going to come in, but there's no guarantee.
Hot.
So our recipes are on a 8.5 piece of paper that's laminated, that's blank. And we look at what food comes in and we think, you know what, we'll be able to do this tomorrow. There are no quantities. Everybody knows that's running a tilt that we try really hard.
Whoa. What is a tilt?
So a tilt's a big one of these. Think about an electric skillet that's, so I don't know, about like this, holds about 40 gallons. So that a lot of stuff happens in our tilts. That's where all of our casseroles pretty much happen. So they'll have a cart that will wheel out, and they'll have a recipe. And we try very, very hard to meet the USDA standards in all of our tilts, with the amount of protein to the amount of vegetables to the amount of starch. And most of our tilt operators know we need to put 75 pounds of protein in here. We need to put 100 pounds of vegetables.
But it could be mixed protein. It may
Mixed protein.
So it could be chicken and beef and turkey.
Sometimes we do that. We grind the meat.
Okay.
That's one of when we were in battle mode when all this first started. Everything that came in, we would just grind because we got more out of it. We knew that we could grind it, and we knew that we could keep that going.
So if you were at home and you had a roast and you had to make it stretch, grinding in a food processor or an old-fashioned crank grinder.
Absolutely would work. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of what the recipes look like there. And most everybody that works or volunteers at Second Helpings is a foodie.
Okay.
And we kind of free range. If somebody says, hey, I need help, I need you to set the recipe. Most of the time I say, this is the way we want to go. Go get your season, do whatever you want. Be creative, because a recipe is just a guideline. And I say that constantly, and they joke with me. They're like, hashtag a recipe is just a guideline. I'm like, absolutely. A recipe is just a guideline. And like you say, if you have tomatoes on hand, that would be awesome in there. I mean, there's so much you can do, and it's nutritional.
Well, and I was even thinking, when I send the pallets of grilled cheese to you all, sometimes we have Swiss, pepper jack. We have, here's one. One of our staff members loves our cinnamon toast with the Munster. Can that go into this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We take all that cheese, different cheeses, and we'll make a cheese sauce, or we'll grate it all together like we did there, and top some of, maybe we're doing a baked spaghetti or something like that. There are all kinds of combinations. People will be like, oh, that's not going to go good. It does. And I've kind of all my life thought about, I know this sounds kind of weird, but if you can put something on pizza, you can put it in eggs.
Nice.
And I do that kind of with all kinds of things. Sometimes I'm like, that would go really good in an omelet or a scramble. Oh, I bet that would go good. What if we put it in a tilt? And we've done pizza tilts. We've done Hawaiian pizza tilts. So there are so many things, and everybody's creative. Everybody has a different idea, and that's what makes it fun. Now, we don't want to go crazy, because it doesn't do us any good to make meals if no one eats them. So we try to get feedback from our agencies, and if they don't like it, we try our best. If they say, don't ever send this to us again, nobody ate it. Doesn't happen very often, but every now and then we'll have a great idea, we think. Doesn't do us any good if
And if you've got a bunch of foodies doing your volunteer work, everybody's loving it, but then the people out in the agencies are pretty much meat and potatoes or Hoosiers.
Right.
They're going to be a little bit more skittish.
Right.
And I can see that, but I know even at Urban League, the folks that were getting those frozen meals, they loved those. They might not take the fresh vegetables because they didn't know what to do with that, but that heat and serve meal, that was just like gold to them.
I love to hear that. That is so amazing, because we try very hard to make sure we're not putting, oh, hey, we got a bunch of artichokes in, let's put them out. No, No. And the other thing about second helpings, we want to make sure we use that food that we get as soon as possible. My goal is to get everything back out the door in 3 days.
Okay.
That way we've processed it. We know it's great and we want to get it out the door. The other thing we do at Second Helpings is we are so good at rescuing food. We rescue about twice as much as we really need to use. So we do what we call a redirect. We have our partner agencies that may have food pantries or may actually cook for themselves. They come in and they kind of shop. And they can go through and pick out whatever we're not using. And again, we don't want to hold on to that stuff.
Mhm.
We want to get them in, get that food somewhere where it's going to be used, because the last thing we want to do is throw that in the trash.
So another way of using leftovers in somebody else's kitchen.
Absolutely.
And again, that goes back to our topic of our bread pudding. If you have extra grilled cheese, a lot of people are saying to us during this, I've got all this extra cheese, because when we were doing the cheese boxes, they were getting 5-pound
Yes.
bricks and then 10-pound bags. What do I do with all this? So you can take the sliced,
Yep.
and you know what to do with that. You can put it on a sandwich, but you can also make grilled cheese.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, if you get the grated, that's wonderful for a grilled cheese. Put it on the bread, freeze it, and then use it whenever you
Then
want.
it's ready to go.
And it's nicer because the bread keeps it from getting freezer burnt. When you kind of have this much of a shred
Yes.
and you've got little people in and out of your freezer,
Right.
it gets a little freezer burnt more quickly. But this way, the bread protects it, and then it's ready to go.
Right.
And really, there's nothing wrong with having a grilled cheese as you're walking out the door.
Right.
For breakfast.
Breakfast. That's what I was going to say. It's a good breakfast item. Yeah.
And you had just said that you started serving casseroles to Boys and Girls Club
Right.
that are a little bit different. How are they different?
So we're kind of on our test pilot. We're going to do one Boys and Girls Club, and we're going to do breakfast for them. A hot breakfast, because we know that hot breakfasts are good for everyone. Yeah, we can send them cereal and your milk, but we want to give them something hot. So we do like a biscuits and gravy. We're going to do some breakfast casseroles. We're going to do maybe some French toast, kind of a more savory bread pudding French toast, like a creme brulee French toast, something like
Nice.
that. So yeah, so we're going to play with that and see how it goes. That looks pretty good. Look at
That's
that.
our grilled cheese
Yeah, I'm going to slide over here and see what I got.
savory bread pudding. And this is a little bit of my time that I didn't take off the stem, so you'd never want to serve that. But I also I had fresh thyme in the garden.
That is cool.
I had to bring that. One of the topics that we talked with that you might want to go back and revisit if you haven't seen it is last month we had Vivian from the Elephant Garden, and she does all of her own herbs and tomatoes and all these vegetables. So she gave a lot of tips. And so I took that to heart.
Yeah.
And now I have my own little Mediterranean garden.
Oh, that
I'm
is so
proud
cool.
of me. Now, it's not growing lots, but I've got a nice amount of time so far. And I've got seeds.
That's
about
awesome.
it.
We have a little garden at Second Helpings too, out back.
Nice.
And we actually have a volunteer that has kind of taken it under her wing, and we pulled some chives for our culinary job training students to use the other day. We have thyme, we have rosemary. So yeah,
Wow.
so we're doing that too, because when we rescue things from grocery stores, sometimes we'll get herb plants.
Okay.
And we'll take those and we'll go out to the garden and
Oh, what a
plant
great
those out there.
idea.
Yeah. So yeah.
So nothing goes to waste. Literally nothing goes to waste.
And we compost. So all of our peels and everything go into a compost bucket. Recycle everything, that we can goes into a recycling bin. So we're trying to do our best to make sure there is no waste whatsoever. But most important is to knock out food insecurity.
And with all of the pandemic, once the pandemic goes away, do you see that the pandemic is going to lighten the load? That I didn't say that very well. That people are going to be less food insecure, or are you still going to be serving that 6,000 meals
I think that unfortunately we're going to see that, and we just experienced the busiest month in March since June of last year.
Oh.
So June was kind of the height of the pandemic, and we thought as we went, numbers would start coming down. And we talked to, especially Jennifer, our CEO, has talked to other food pantry leaders and stuff, and they're like, yeah, the numbers are coming down. Ours were still going up. And we were like, what's going on? So we had agencies that may have paused during the pandemic. Well, now they're starting to come back.
Okay.
And then we have new agencies that we got through the pandemic, and they're still there. So unfortunately, there is still a huge need. And I think that because the pandemic did bring out so many people that probably have needed food for years that just weren't being touched by any of the agencies. And, I think we're probably the only people that say, man, I wish we didn't have our job.
Yeah.
As much as I love my job, I have my dream job. But if somebody said, we don't need second helpings anymore, we've solved hunger in Indianapolis, I don't think anybody on staff would go, oh, darn, we would be the happiest people.
Well, I know that when we go through Urban League, and we've all at our office, we've all volunteered and gotten to know those people. But you also learn the cars that are coming through and how excited they are about the food, and that they'll tell you a little story or share their experience last week. And you get used to seeing those people, and you then become concerned if you don't see them.
Absolutely.
And you wonder what happened, or who did they come with that I could ask? And I know that during this time, it's very possible that something did happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the scary thing that we all do. We all get used to, our drivers are going out and they see people, and why aren't we seeing them? Or they've come back. That's the exciting thing. We get volunteer drivers that have been gone for a year. They come back and they're like, oh my gosh, I went over and saw so-and-so, and it was so great to see them. And those are the kind of things that we miss at Second Helpings because we are a big family. Standing 6 feet apart from everybody was never part of our culture. We're a big group of hugging people, and let's all gather around and let's eat together. But we also know we got to be safe, and we got to keep everybody safe. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
it's a double-edged sword.
So I think that this is all very exciting. I know that people have questions. How did they get a hold of you, or what's the best way? Because I know I look forward to my little magazine every month. My little Peas and Carrots.
Yeah.
And I get excited because there's always information about the students taking classes. I love the fact that they talk about who's a new agency, or the fact of where's the guy that they always highlight somebody that's been there a long time.
Yes, yeah, volunteer of the month.
Yes, that. Yeah. And that's exciting. But if they don't have this, how do they find you?
So you can go to our website, which is secondhelpings.org, and there's all kinds of information on the website. I mean, you can kind of click around and get to the culinary job training program. If you need food, there's a link there that tells you how to get the food. If you want to donate food, there's all kinds of information there. I'm happy you can reach out to me. My email address is Kathy@secondhelpings.org. So it's really simple. First name with a K at secondhelpings.org. But the website has so much information that you can go there. You can see that volunteer of the month, or what's going on with the culinary job training class. You can sign up for a culinary job training class online.
Talk a little bit more about the training class.
Chefs, we do have a couple of questions and comments here.
Sure. So our culinary job training program is a 7-week program. Pandemic is in full force. So again, we've pivoted, which is the word that nobody wants to say. And we can only have about 6 students in the classroom at once, as well as in the kitchen. So we have actually changed our curriculum to 4 hours is in the kitchen. As soon as you come in, we do a little review, you jump in the kitchen, you're ready to go. 4 hours is on Google Classroom. We give every student a tablet And the tablet is theirs to keep. We give them a MiFi hotspot. We do ask for that back after the course, but they can do all of their work. And we had about 6 months without any classes when the pandemic first started. So we have all of the lectures loaded. We have all of the demos, all of their questions. So say you're practicing knife skills and you just can't get it. You can watch that demo on knife skills 100 times if that's what it needs. And that information is there for you to keep forever. So pretty intensive. We cover a lot in those 7 weeks. You'll get, besides all of the cooking skills, we do, BMO Harris comes in, they do financial training. We have Bonnie Ross comes in and she does a nutrition class. Elaine Gaither comes in and she does life skills. And then we make sure they've got all of those skills. And then we jump into the kitchen and they're learning how to do recipes, how to do conversions. How we've talked here about a recipe is, we can do this and do that. But when they go in and work for a chef, they got to do that recipe. Then when they grow a little bit, then they can do what we do.
Yes.
So it's important that they learn how to read that recipe and follow that recipe. So super great program. We also, once you're in the family, you're in the family. We have job placement specialists go out, help you get that job, and say you get the great job and everything's good. And 5 years down the road, something happens, you come back and we'll get you another job.
Oh, wow.
So you're there forever.
That's great. I mean, that's a tremendous way of working. That's like your own alumni group. Just like going to college.
Yep.
Hannah, you said that we had a question?
Yes, actually going back to the grilled cheese, when you both mentioned that you could freeze the grilled cheese, do you cook it first or not? How do you prepare that?
Either way, we have people that will just butter the bread and wrap it really well and freeze it at that point. But there's a couple of people here that will buy cooked grilled cheese during the state fair, and we wrap them up, and then they take them and warm them up during the year while we're not here. So it's absolutely up to you. I always think of it as like one of those crustables.
Oh, yeah.
That we just have the crust.
Right.
We didn't take the crust off, and I'm not cutting the crust off. I'm just telling you we got a grilled cheese.
Right.
Man, that looks good.
So I've been so busy talking, I haven't really talked about what I did, but so simple. I just took the skillet. I browned some ground beef in there, pulled that out, threw some onions in, a little salt and pepper, cooked those, pulled that out. And then I took about, I think, 3.5 grilled cheese and just kind of tore it up, put it in there, and did the same thing. Made the custard with the egg and the cream. Again, I put a little salt and pepper in with the egg and the cream, put it on top, smush it down, throw it in there and let it cook.
The other thing is we're using half and half because that's what came into second helpings
Right.
today. But if we had skim milk, can we add a little bit of butter or a couple of egg yolks?
Absolutely. You can do
Okay.
either or and all of the above. You just want to get that richness in there because the skim milk, as we know, it's not gonna stay. It's too thin. But yeah, you could throw a couple extra egg yolks in with your whole eggs.
And the nice way of telling when the bread pudding's done, you can have a stick and poke it.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, once it rises up, it's going to look like a souffle. And then as it cools, it's going to settle down.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to take it out too soon. You want to make sure that it rises high and kind of stays there for a couple of minutes. So you don't really need a timer. You just need a short person in your family to watch the oven. And
True.
When it rises high, then let them count to 100. When it's done, pull it out of the oven, let it rest for about 10 minutes, and then it's time to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. So this smells really good.
I know it does. It
I'm
smells so good in here.
It's good. So yeah. And peas and carrots, that's, that was fun because that's all second helpings. When we split our staff when the pandemic came, and we wanted to make sure that nothing would take second helpings down. We wanted to make sure that we could feed people throughout. So we actually split our staff. We were never in the building at the same time. We couldn't see each other. And we were peas and carrots.
There you go. And they all work perfectly. You have more questions, Hannah?
Yes, actually, we had a question come in asking about using 2% or whole milk. Would that be okay too? Because you mentioned skim and you mentioned half and half. Is it okay to use middle of the road?
Yep. Any kind of milk.
Yep, any kind of milk, and you just maybe add a little bit of egg yolk. And I think that would, it's just the richness that you're trying to get.
Is there
And
a
again,
consistency that would help
we were
tell
kind
us that?
We were talking to Kathy earlier. They don't have the luxury of a grocery store. They have whatever comes in their back door.
Right.
And so sometimes it is heavy whipping cream instead of half and half. Now what do? We add water or we add chicken broth.
Right. Or pull an egg out.
Yeah, there you
Pull an
go.
egg out, yeah.
So it's basically learning that recipe of I need so much protein, so much grain, so much vegetable,
Right.
and then everything else gets augmented. Does that help, Hannah?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both. Very helpful. And otherwise, we have some great comments in here for both of you this evening. They love the tip on the scrambled eggs as far as eggs and pizza. That was really creative in an interesting way. I thought that was great too, actually.
Yeah.
I think my husband cooks like that because he just puts everything in a bowl and it's all great when he's done. But they love, your job is so exciting, it sounded like, and just love the creativity that you all have. And it's just really so amazing. Another person says that 4,000 meals. I mean, that's just incredible, really, that you guys are able to
get
that kind of food out into, Indianapolis area. So yeah, everybody just is really amazed at all of the work that you do and appreciative of that.
Well, thank you. It's again, I can't stress enough. It truly is my dream job. And we're probably the only place where we all say, oh, I got the best job in the building. Nuh-uh, I have the best job in the building. And I think we all have the best job in the building. So, yeah.
I think it's a pretty good place. We say the same thing about the dairy. We have about 800 farmers and we have the best bosses in the world. Our CEO is dynamic, but all of our jobs when we come together are just wonderful. And so we always argue who's got the best job.
Yep.
And I think that speaks highly for who you get to work for and what you're able to do.
Absolutely.
And how proud we are of
oh
what
my
we're
goodness.
able to do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So Hannah, do we have more questions?
That is all of the questions that we have for this evening. So you guys have covered everything so well. Even when I thought of a question I might have, you managed to cover it in the next portion. So well done there.
Well, I think that we might say goodnight and let everybody have time back. Do we have anything else to cover, Hannah?
Yes, we have a cute little video that we thought maybe we would share this evening. So I will do that here quickly for us. And then I think Janet will have a few words to share as well. So
thank you all. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome. I really had a good time.
Future dairy and balance.
Indiana Dairy Farm family.
Nice to see. Sorry. This is a cute one, but not really the one that we hope to do. Give me just a second, everybody. And I'll get you the appropriate video to be watching tonight. We're so exciting. Janet, you can go ahead and share a little information as you want, and I'll pull up the video and we can roll out with that as the last thing if you like.
Sure, that sounds like a good plan. So yeah, again, thank you everybody for being here. I know the Indianapolis Urban League just really values our partnerships with both American Dairy as well as with Second Helpings. We've been working with Second Helpings for many years in a couple different capacities, and have just really appreciated having them as part of our team helping to tackle hunger in our communities. So wonderful demos. I'm hungry. I think I'm gonna I didn't know how I felt about bread pudding, but now I'm feeling like I need to give this a shot. So I hope other people are feeling the same. And I definitely I've got some peas and carrots in my freezer, and so maybe I'll give this a shot for dinner later in the week.
Love it. All right. Now I think I have just a fun little bit that you might need for the end of the night. Maybe some inspiration here for your own grilled cheese sandwiches. So let's see what Buttercup's got to show us tonight. Ah, that's so great. It's going to play it for everybody again.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. And maybe those of you with kids at home, that'd be a great way to teach them how to make their own grilled cheese and give you a little bit of a break. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Thanks, everybody. Feel free if you've got questions or you need to get in touch with us. We are more than happy to chat and answer questions. So just shoot us an email, find us on social media, visit our websites. We'd love to hear from you. Enjoy the evening.
Bye.